If you've been a member of St. Mary's for decades, you may remember a longtime parishioner named Evelyn Sirocco. Her daughter told me that Evelyn always kept a clean black dress on a hanger in her closet, and she read the obituaries every day. She said, at my age, there's often someone in that obituary I know, maybe a coworker, hopefully not a close friend, but sometimes even a distant relative. She said maybe it was somebody I used to live down the street from. But she said, at my age, I go to funerals quite often. But that wasn't the only reason she kept that black dress on the hanger. It's because when she would read the obituaries, she would scan for any stranger who had no living relatives. And then she would put on that black dress and go to their funeral. She told her daughter, everyone's life needs to be celebrated. I don't ever want to know that there was a funeral somewhere in town that no one went to. If no one else is going, at least I'll be there. And now she's with God. Now she's gone to be with the ancestors. And we're called to take a page out of her book. Whenever I'm sitting with a family to prepare for a funeral, one of the questions I always ask is, what is the lesson that you think your mom or your dad's life teaches us? What lesson does your Aunt Mabel's life teach us? What I'm asking is, what is their master class? Everybody is teaching a master class with their life of some sort. Everybody's got their own little angle on life. And once we figure out what that person's lesson was, what their master class has been, then we know what is ours to do. That we need to take a page out of their book and live it forward. I am sure that Evelyn Sirocco was not perfect. I didn't know her, but I'm convinced of it because she was human, and humans aren't perfect. But she was teaching a master class. And that particular gift that she had, that lesson that her life teaches, it's in itself a gift from God because we're made in God's image. We're not perfect, but we're made in the divine image. So having a master class to teach happens naturally. It's inevitable. We can't mess it up. Yesterday, we had a funeral for a 65-year-old man named Odin McDavid. He was a single dad who had 4 daughters that were the center of his world. They're now 29 to 39. And his master class was showing up for people when they needed it. A few years ago, he moved to Florida. And that was the realization of a long-term plan to be in the warmth. 2 weeks after he moved in, he got a call from one of his daughters, who in tears told him that she had unexpectedly become a single mom. 2 days later, he was on her doorstep with a U-Haul. And he said, "Sweetheart, you are not going to go through this alone. We will figure this out together." And he never left. He supported her from then on. Odin wasn't a perfect person. He was a human being. No human being is perfect. But God made him in the divine image. And so he had something to offer. And his lesson that he taught is one that all of us could hope to emulate. One theologian says that people are kind of like panes of stained glass in the window. Each of us shines God's light in a different way, through our own particular color, in our own particular shape. We demonstrate God's life and compassion in a unique way that only can come through us. So when someone dies, one of the best ways we can stay connected to them is to emulate their virtues that they lived. They were reflecting the light in a particular way. And when they die, we don't want to live without that light anymore. So we have to take a page out of their book, follow their masterclass, and do what they were good at to the best of our ability. If your mother was a wonderful host and had a gift for hospitality, then when you host people, you're going to feel close to your mother. When you make her recipes, when you light the candles on the table the way that she would, you're going to feel like you're taking a page out of her book, embodying her. If you had a friend or a former pastor who had a zest and passion for justice, then when you get involved in a cause, you're going to feel close to them. You're going to feel like you're connected to whatever in them inspired you. If you had an aunt who loved to laugh, and you can hear her laugh right now, then whenever you have people over and allow there to be a night of lightness and joy, you're embodying the spirit that made your aunt's life so beautiful. That's what we mean when we say that death ends a life, but it doesn't end a relationship. Death doesn't end our relationship with someone who's died because they're alive. They're living in glory. And they're also able to live in their own virtues when we live them because we were inspired by them. And the amazing thing is, this even works when their life shows us what not to do. Perhaps your dad died young of alcoholism. One of the ways you can honor him is to face your own addictions. To say, this is what Dad's life taught me. He wants me to learn from his mistakes. That's one of the ways I can honor him, is not going down the same path. If our mother was a wonderful person but was swallowed by resentments, had resentments at her workplace, resentments with neighbors, one of the ways we can honor her is not to do that. To say, Mom, you suffered so much with that, and I was paying attention, and I'm not going to do that. Out of love and honor for you, I'm not going to waste your pain. I'm going to learn to do that differently because that's what you would want for me. And they're cheering us on from glory. You know that your loved ones who have made mistakes in their life, when you choose differently, they're in heaven going, yes, good for you. Thank you for not wasting that. When we choose differently, we're honoring them. It's a way to keep the relationship with them alive because their death may have ended their earthly life, but not that they're alive and not our relationship with them. So this week, we're being asked, who is on your mind right now when you think about this? Who have you placed on this altar? Or who is on the altar of your heart right now and doesn't have a picture here? What is it that we need to do to embody the virtues that they had that were so good? How do we learn from the textbook of their masterclass? Or how do we take advantage of the lesson that they're teaching us by how they struggled? And the love they have for us is impelling us not to do what they did. Sometimes we'll have someone in our life that was like so good at something, they were like a Gretzky or like a Mother Teresa of that thing. And we're like, I can never compete with that. But that's also beautiful when we move in the direction of that person. Not because we think we can do what they did, but because we admire them so much we're willing to try. Last year, we laid to rest Philip Brassel, who was a longtime Glens Falls resident. He grew up in North Creek, and his dad was a hero of his. He was a pretty successful businessman, and there's a lot of businesses that in the North Country really struggle. When there's a little hint of an economic downturn, a lot of the contractors and folks really suffer. So, Philip Sr. used to go to the foreclosure auctions in North Creek. And oftentimes there'd be a sad thing being auctioned. someone's forklift that they needed for their work, someone's warehouse space. And he would buy it, and then he would sell it back to them at the price they could afford. Philip admired his dad so much, but he thought, I can't do that. I don't have those kind of resources. And he wasn't an entrepreneur. He worked in a bank. So what he would do, in honor of his dad, was look for the people who were having a hard time paying their mortgage and make a mortgage payment for them quietly. Co-sign with someone who didn't have anyone to co-sign with them. He would quietly find ways to do that. And whenever he did, he felt so close to his dad, who was the Mother Teresa of that kind of behavior. And so he took a page out of his book just so he could be connected to his dad and live the virtues his dad had. When a Christian loves someone who's died, we do lots of things. We often go to their grave and place flowers, and that's beautiful. We put their picture in a place of honor. But we also live their virtues. We take a page out of their book. And in every decision we make, in every day at our workplace, in every interaction with a neighbor, we bring them back to life by living the virtues that they taught in their masterclass.